I got 16 Twitch streamers who are brand new at chess to play against each other in this multi-week chess tournament. In this recap, we're gonna go over all games played in week 1 to see who qualified for the quarterfinals. By the way, if you wanna catch the remainder of these games live, come check us out on Twitch, link in the bio. Let's get into the recap. So we have over a dozen games to cover. I'm gonna rapid fire through some of them and show you all the best of the best. This game is starting off this past Sunday, K-Smack versus Turtle. K-Smack on white, Turtle is playing the black pieces. So we have E4, G5, and now let it be known that these players are all rated around the ranking of 400. Some of these players' ratings are a bit different than their actual rating. A lot of them don't have that many games on chess.com, so their ratings aren't completely accurate. A lot of players in this event are like 200. The highest player is rated closer to 800, but on average, I'd say the average rating of the players is around 400 to 500. Both these players are probably rated slightly lower than their actual ratings on chess.com. And you can see already from this opening, it's pretty much a 0-0-0 game. Not playing a super standard opening from the black perspective, white playing something similar to a Spanish from K-Smack's perspective. And this is game 1 between, again, Turtle and K-Smack. And Turtle immediately blundering a knight in the center. Both the knight and the pawn are hanging, but Smack opting to take the free pawn instead of the knight. This is crazy stuff. We have C6 kicking the bishop back and then F6 kicking the knight back as well. Smack throws in a check with the queen on H5 before retreating. This is a really strong move. The only way this can really be stopped is by retreating with the knight. If this move didn't exist, this might actually just be checkmate here. So we have knight going back to G6 to defend against mate, and now knight takes the pawn, which is also a very nice move. The pawn was defending the knight. Queen can now take the knight. Rook can't take the knight. Otherwise, queen is taking taking the rook, and we have queen A5 coming in, but it's now plus 10 for white after queen takes on G6. Smack finding one of the best moves here, checking the king. At least the king now has a square to retreat to safely, but there's going to be some material lost here. There's just a bishop hanging. Smack doesn't take it right away, instead protecting his own bishop. Pawn to E5, bishop taking the knight first. Still, this bishop is hanging, so you have to be very careful. You cannot take the bishop because the queen is defending it, and we just have queen A4. So we had queen A5, queen A4 from Turtle over here, trying to go after this weak C2 pawn. Smack is just not concerned at all. Smack is just moving the knight out of the way, trying to maybe come in with this check with the queen on E8. Pawn to D5, queen E8 check. There's the idea. King slides over to C7, and more material is just going to continue getting gobbled by white. K-Smack just a dominating lead, plus 21 in this position. Queen out. Could have taken the rook, but decided to go for the check first, forcing the king out into the open. Queen is now taking. Black's queen is taking in the center, but hanging the queen in the process. If you notice, the knight was defending this pawn. The queen couldn't even take it. Turtle is just down a devastating amount of material as K-Smack is able to start gobbling up the pawns. The rook takes the bishop, but that's not even an issue because it is so crushing for white here. Plus 24 in this position. Pawn C5, queen takes in the center. The bishop is going to get into the game. The rook is going to get into the game. And now black's rook is going to be lost. Black has a bishop and 3 pawns against the army of white's pieces that are coming in to decimate black. Queen G6 check. The pawn is coming in for promotion. And in this position, Turtle XL lost on time. You see, Turtle had 7.5 seconds left in this game. And in game 1, Turtle lost on time. And not only did Turtle lose on time in game 1, but Turtle proceeded to lose on time in game 2 and game 3. Smack got a fierce checkmate against Turtle to seal the deal for match 1. Now, we had 2 matches on Sunday. We had 2 matches every single day. We're going to be going into match 2, which was Levi Endeavor versus Joe Raul. So K-Smack cleaning up in match number 1, a clean 3-0. It is best of 5 10-minute rapid games to be clear. So players need to get to 3 points or 3 wins, or 2 wins and 2 draws, or whatever it happens to be. We have Joe Raul versus Levi. This is game 1 against these players as well. D4, B5, and Joe Raul said in preparation for this game that he watched one Gotham video. That was his entire preparation, and we quickly saw that the video that he watched was the London, and Joe Raul was playing the London exclusively on white during this event. Very good preparation by him. Levi just kind of developing pieces, at least putting the knight on a good square, playing F6, weakening the king on this diagonal, but that's okay because nothing crazy is gonna be coming in here. If queen comes up, simply there's G6, so nothing crazy yet. A5 coming in from Levi. hanging a pawn. Okay, this position is already very good for white, but things can still happen here after g5 kicking the bishop out. It is mate in one for Joe Raul. If Joe Raul can find the move queen h5, the king cannot escape this diagonal. Nothing can get in front of the king because you moved the g pawn up, but Joe Raul doesn't see it, and the mate in one is missed, and it's still crushing for white. White has to do something to stop mate in one. They either have to like move the pawn out of the way to let the king have an escape square, or move the bishop out of the way, or something to prevent mate. But Levi just plays rook b1. It's mate in one again. It's mate in one for the second turn. Levi blunders mate twice, but bishop back. Doesn't want to lose the bishop, does Joe Raul. And it is actually potentially even still mate with the bishop. But now there is d6, which unintentionally stops mate after bishop h5. Oh my God. And Joe Raul just playing a standard move, developing his queen to a better square, applying some pressure onto this knight. No mate is happening this early. The game continues. It's +3 for white. Knight out, bishop out. Knight developed, and the knight here is free. And actually the knight here was free for a while. After knight g6, you can take this knight immediately. Joe doesn't see that, instead puts more pressure on the knight, which was already pinned anyways. But hey, listen, it is what it is. He still won the knight. Queen takes, king slides out of the way, and this position is again mate in one. It is mate in one. Can you guys see the mate in one here? Pawn to d5. Checkmate! That would be unbelievable, but he doesn't see it and instead checks with the queen here. Joe Raul has missed 3 mate in one so far, 3 of them. So king slides back. Joe Raul is still completely destroying after winning the knight on f5. Pawn slides up, taking another pawn with the queen. Now Levi's, to his credit, is fighting back. Levi takes the pawn. Knight jumps out, rook here, but rook to b3, immediately hanging the rook. And Joe doesn't see it. Joe plays knight c4, just going for blood, trying to apply pressure to as many things as possible, trying to break through here, completely ignoring this hanging rook. Rook takes another pawn, but again, the rook can just be taken, and it's not taken again. The rook has just gotten 2 free pawns. It's hung itself twice, and Joe Raul is just trying to come in here, and he induces this pawn move, pawn c6, but now the knight comes in with the check, and Joe Raul finding some amazing moves, completely ignoring this rook, which is just out of Levi's position entirely, not helping him with his defense at all. The knight is coming in, and the queen is just hanging, but the king is in check, and now knight here checking again. You can't go closer to it. You have to run away, and now queen comes in here, and this is so scary. This is so scary. There's a bunch of pressure mounting on this piece. Now the knight can come back up here, threatening to win this bishop, and oh my God, what is Levi gonna do here? Levi comes out with the queen, trying to set something up. This is actually a really smart idea here from Levi, maybe trying to set up some sort of discovery and uno reverso this threat onto white and try to win a queen back, but Joe Raul's not having any of it. Joe Raul's coming in with a check, and there's very little you can do here. And there's very little you can do because once the queen slides back, it is queen takes c8. No matter where you go, which I think is only move is king e7, and queen to c7 is mate. And not only that, but queen a8 I believe is also mate. The king is completely shut off. Joe Raul not only picking up a point, but the rest of these games, my friends, were not much different. And Joe Raul clean swept Levi. Day 1 of this match started with 2 3-0 sweeps, a sweep from Joe Raul and a sweep from K-Smack, who are both qualifying for the quarterfinals of this event. And now we move on to day 2. Day 2 of this event was a little bit more exciting. There was a little bit more toss-ups, and there was not any clean sweeps on day 2, which made for some exciting games. And the first match of this day was between Kixy and Beautiful Notes. Beautiful Notes playing with the white pieces, Kixy playing with the black pieces. We have 2 a little more passive pawn moves, d3 and f6 as the players develop. Kixy opting to play for a center pawn, and Notes opting to play with the pawns on the light squares, as well as the knight on a3, a bit atypical, but you could also put the knight on c4 at some point in the future, and it's totally fine to play like that. Beautiful Notes developing both the knights. Kixy taking advantage of the weak dark squares in Notes' position with the move bishop to b4, immediately attacking the king. Bishop blocks, but now the knight is hung because this bishop was the sole defender of the knight. So you needed to play a move like knight d2 in this position to stop this, because this is just losing, and now you've just lost a piece as Notes. And oh my God, c4 to make this beautiful pawn pyramid, but you'll see it's -5 here for black. It's -5 5, the knight is going to come in, and what I would like to see from Kixy is to develop more pieces instead of trying to bring more pieces into the game, but it's okay, and Notes is just okay giving up another piece. Notes is just okay giving another piece. Knight d2, and Kixy's just up a piece. She's going to break away at the pawn structure here, kicking the bishop back, but that's okay because, you're just going to break the structure. The kings are still in the center here, and because black's up a piece, this is just going to be good for black. We have f3, bringing the pawns out. Pawns are coming a little more forward. Nothing is hanging quite yet. A lot of pieces here for black are getting into the action. These pawns are all looking a little bit loose, and this pawn actually can be taken at any time. This e3 pawn is very loose here. Takes. Both the kings are in the center, but this king can immediately castle on the queen side if wanted, and just go walk right over. Just take a little waltz to b8 if it wants to. You also have knight out with king going. This king needs a couple more moves too to castle. We need to go to the bishop, and we need to get here. You want to castle on the king side ideally with white. Queen side castle here from Kixy. Queen e1. You typically don't want to put your queen on this open file because the rooks can at some point kick it out. But okay, queen e1, knight getting developed, the king sliding over into safety, and now, as I said, the rook is going to kick the queen off this open file. But Notes just plays g4. Notes just plays g4 and hangs the queen. Notes hangs the queen, and now Kixy is just up a queen. Oh my god. It's a queen, and Notes wins a bishop back, but Kixy's going to gobble the pawns, and Notes is just sacrificing a rook. Sacrificing a rook for nothing. King goes towards the center of the board. Pieces are flying off the board. All the pawns are won. White has barely any pawns left. 3 pawns, throwing away the rook, too, with check. The queen takes the pawn, but Kixy counter-sacrificing her queen on d3. Takes by the bishop. Notes making this move in merely seconds, and Kixy is up, but Kixy has 4 minutes to convert this game, and Kixy needs to find a way to win and not stalemate Notes. Oh my god. So the knight picks up the bishop here, and white still has 2 pawns left, but suddenly the king is the only piece that is able to move. And what you want to do in this position is try to get your king to a situation where you're intertwined in all of black's pieces, and it's hard for black to deliver a mate. And it is mate in 5 once the rook gets in here and can get pretty close to mating, but Kixy's not sure, and Kixy has 4 minutes, and rook g8 cuts off the king, but what do you do here? It's mate in 2. If you find rook g3, and then I believe the mate is rook h3 with all the squares covered by black's pieces. And we have knight h1, king h4. Kixy trying her best to find how she can deliver this mate. Bishop f2, check. King slides back, bishop g3, and it's a stalemate. Oh my god, the first stalemate of the tournament. Kixy gets stalemate on Notes, and game 1 is over. Kixy had with an absolutely dominating position. Stalemate, we're going into the next game, and spoilers, guys, spoilers. Kixy does wind up getting huge leads in games 2 and games 3, and Kixy winds up 2.5 to 1/2 against beautiful Notes. And this is game 4. Notes needs to get a win here. Notes can't even afford a draw, or it is just over, and she is completely knocked out. So she needs to fight back here. And fighting back, she's going to do. Now she's going to be playing a little bit differently with her structure, not putting all of her pawns on light squares, but trying to diversify here with a little bit on the dark squares, a little on the light squares. Still playing this knight to the rim here, which is okay, but Kixy just hangs a pawn. Kixy just hangs a pawn, and Notes is just already winning. It's already minus 0.7, knight defended by the bishop, and knight just goes back. Now Kixy, to her credit, is developing her pieces. She has her pieces on very nice squares. She has the entire center. As white, you'll eventually want to build to this move, but you probably want to get some of your pieces into play first. Bishop out does block the forward momentum of your center pawn, which is not ideal. Pawn d5, and oh no. Oh no, Notes! Notes is sacrificing her knight, and not only that, she's sacrificing her bishop, and it's the 9th move, and Notes is already down 2 full pieces. It's +5 for white. Black has nothing here. Not only does black have lost 2 pieces, but look at the rest of the pieces. They're all on the back rank. Oh my god. So Notes is going to develop the rest of their pieces, but Kixy can just trade. I mean, Kixy can simply simplify and just continue. It's not over yet, but okay. So we have Notes winning back a knight. Kixy hangs a knight. Okay. Queen takes on d5, so it's only up one piece now, and to be fair, white has no center pawns, and white is actually down 2 pawns for the piece. Okay, bishop comes out with the idea maybe to castle. f6 doesn't really do much of anything, and now, okay, Kixy's simplifying. Check. Very nicely done by Kixy, trying to make progress here in the position. c4, queen slides over, not what you want to be doing. Kind of cocooning all your pieces into the corner over here is not amazing. It's +6 for white in this position. Oh my God. And we have pawn c6, c5. Kixy is just trying to crack through in this position, trying to get in, trying to take some pieces and make some complications for notes. And I love this move from notes. Quite an interesting move, because once takes, there's this discovery on the queen, right? A discovery on c6. And if Kixy doesn't see it, then she doesn't see it. She just doesn't see it. Kixy doesn't see that her queen is hanging after this discovery tactic, just thinking, okay, I'm going to win this pawn back. And Notes sees it and wins the queen, and it's -5.6 for Notes. Oh my God, after rook takes, Kixy's shaking her head on the live cover, on the live stream. She has no idea what's going on. After queen something like a8, it's so crushing, hitting everything on this diagonal, unlocking the rook. Oh my God. Notes is winning. Bishop comes out, check. Bishop blocks, you're trading, you're just simplifying the position. You have a queen for the knight and the rook, which is holding in some positions, but because of how discoordinated the pieces are for Kixy, things are just going to go from bad to worse here. And what's crazy is you'll eventually have things like you can fork the king in the rook and do all this crazy. You could even do this here, forking, winning, picking up this piece. You could take this first. There's so much going on here. You could come out with check and just get your queen activated, maybe pick up a knight. It's just, there's so much, well, not in this position because, okay, I drew the diagonal wrong, but you see what I'm saying. You're gonna win some material somehow as black here. We have rook over, trying to get some rooks in the open files. Queen d8 checking. The rook's gonna come over, trying to trade, and oh no. Notes hangs her queen. But Kixy doesn't see it. And it's just, there's just a queen hanging. Oh my God. Rook slides back in, but now Kixy sees it. Now it's +10, and Notes has to pause for a second and see what just happened and shakes her head, and the game continues to simplify. And eventually Notes winds up throwing away her rook as well. And let me tell you, my friends, I mean, this is mate in one. Kixy doesn't see it. That's okay. She just marches her pawn down the board and checkmate. That's the end of this game and this match. It is 3.5 to 1/2 for Kixy. My God. So day number 2, Tuesday, match number 2 is between two streamers, Jack Penguin and Vic Talks. Jack playing with the black pieces and Vic playing here with the white pieces. This is game 1 between the two of them. And I gotta say, the opening that these two played was the most solid so far. We see a central pawn from both players moving their knights, maybe the bishop coming out to b2 somewhere in the future. Very nicely done. Bishop comes out here, but white does sacrifice this pawn in the center pretty early. So Vic already down a pawn in this game 1, kicking the knight back out, and bishop to d5. Okay, knight comes in the center, and white can actually win a pawn back here, but this is -6 for black. And it's -6 for black here because of the move knight takes f3 check, removing the defender of this bishop. So even though the bishop is hitting the queen, a check obviously has higher priority. No matter what you take back with, the bishop is hanging at the end of this sequence. And Jack Penguin does not find it, instead plays pawn f6. Now it's still winning for black after the bishop retreats. Pawn g5, white's going back, but now it's almost an even game again. Knight goes here. Pieces are flying off the board. We see taking the knight. Queen comes out, checking the king. Now, this is scary for black. It's +2.5 for white. Very scary position for black. Black cannot defend this with any pieces. Only move king e7. So king for black can no longer castle. We have the knight coming out. But black firing back with a fork. Jack getting a fork between the king and the rook, and Jack is picking up material here, but it is mate in 2 for white. If white can see the move queen f7, followed by knight e4 mate, so the king only move. And this is checkmate if Vic can see it. But Vic misses it and instead recaptures the knight, and now it's -4.5 for black, and now black is crushing because black can escape the mate with queen e8, trying to trade off the queens. Black plays c6, which to his credit does also stop the mate. It gives the king another escape square, so it's technically not a forced mate anymore. Bishop coming to f7, and this position, it's back to equal. It's literally like basically equal. I mean, white is down a piece, but because of how weak black's king is here and how loose all these pawns are, it's an equal position. And look at this king in the center. Look at this king in the center. Neither kings have castled. Look at all of black's pieces on the back rank. That none of them have moved yet. So white's pieces are very active, but black has more material. It is such an unusual game. We have some shuffling with the pieces, kicking the bishop out. The knight's on a more active square here. We have bishop coming out to g7, looking along this diagonal. This is very good for black. The game is 0-0-0 according to the engine, even though black is up a piece. Queen takes the pawn. However, this is losing for white after king takes bishop because black's just going to be up another piece, and he finds it. Jack finds, takes on f7, and what is this queen doing here? It's doing nothing. It's not threatening this. There's too many defenders. It's not attacking anything. It's just the queen. The knight can't come in to help with the attack, and this king is just on an open file, and uh-oh. The rook might be coming in, and uh-oh. The queen might maybe be coming in after you kick out this knight, of course, but things could go very bad for white very quickly. The bishop comes out to put another attacker on this pawn, this really weak pawn, but you can just solidify with d6, and beautiful moves here by Jack Penguin, lining up the rook with the king to set up some sort of discoveries maybe in the future. Bishop tries to attack the queen, but an in-between move by Jack Penguin. Check on the white king, ignoring the attack on the queen, letting it hang. The king has to move. And there's so many moves that are crushing here. You could play b6, you could play queen d7, you could play all sorts of things. Queen e7 is also okay. Almost trying to get a queen trade in here. Queen takes pawn check though. Bishop comes over, bishop is pinned. Knight comes in with check. Okay, this is looking a little bit scary maybe for black. I mean, it's still completely winning, but at this level, anything can happen. King slides back, and we're winning an exchange. White's just winning an exchange, and you have to take with the queen. Because if you take with the king, oh my, or you can take with nothing. Black's just taking with nothing. You didn't win the piece back yet. This is plus, oh no, this is +5 for white now. +5 for white. Queen h6 check. That's not the right move though. Here Vic talks you to find queen takes f6 check, forcing a queen trade defended by the knight. You needed to take the bishop. Oh my God, because at the end of it all, you'd be up a piece. But queen h6 it's just equal. And the material is equal too, if you count it up before taking the knight, but now you take the knight, and oh gosh, what is white gonna do here now? But you'll notice it's still winning for white. Even though white is down a piece, can you find the move here? White has the incredible rook e1, defended by the bishop, and pinning the queen to the king, winning black's queen. But Vic Talks doesn't see it, instead playing rook c1, and now allowing Jack's queen to escape with a check, hunting this king out. Check, 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 bishop check, and pawn is just going to march down and maybe try to make a queen. You could bring the rook into the game. There's a lot of different game plans here. But Vic just walks himself into mate. Vic simply loses defense of the bishop, playing seemingly the worst possible move on the board because this diagonal is covered. And Jack Penguin doesn't even know it's mate and accidentally takes the bishop and mates Vic on a3. What a game! I think both players were winning at least 5 different times in this game. This game was absolutely stellar. Oh my God. But the match wasn't over. This was just game one between Vic and Jack, and you can see how close these guys are in skill level. Two of the probably stronger players in this event, closer to like the 600 or 700 rating as well. We now see Vic on the black pieces, pardon my English there, and Jack on the white pieces. And again, Jack hanging a pawn early. Okay. Jack hanging a pawn. Vic already up. It is move 3, and Vic is already up a full pawn. White gets into development. Black is able to develop with tempo, blocking his own center pawn, but able to get the queen to dial back a notch, and Black's just developing. Black's just developing. H5, getting a little aggressive here. White trying to instigate a bishop trade. D5, bishop goes back, and so we have G5. And actually, before G5, this is -2. It's -2 because you're going to win knight for bishop here, and Black's pieces are just going to wind up being very active in this position. The queen is going to have made like half of White's moves so far, but Vic decides to play G5. Oh, Vic has already hung a knight. Vic has hung a knight. Queen D6. You don't want to trade when you're down material, but Vic is scared. I think Vic is just nervous and pawn push, but now you're hanging another piece, and Jack sees it right away. Vic is down 2 pieces, and this game continues, and pieces are flying off the board. E5, but you can move the knight now with all sorts of different discovery ideas on this king, and knight jumps here and back. There's a pawn loss for White, but White just has 2 extra knights, and oh my god, now White's up a bunch of pawns, and White does. In this position, Jack Penguin does hang one of his knights and gives Vic a little bit of hope, but it's still crushing for White. Engine thinks +5 here because you just have a full knight, and you're going to be able to double these rooks on this file, and you're going to go nuts as White here. And Vic is just hanging his pawns. Like, Vic is just losing pawns, and there's just a fork. Vic lost a pawn and then also blundered a fork with the 2 rooks, and he's going to lose a rook, and now Jack's not only up a knight, but now he's actually up a full rook, and these rooks are not happy. These rooks are going to get in this game, and like rook e5 is just a dominating move here. Rook e5 getting the rooks on this file. You need to make room for your king so you don't get back ranked at any point, but the rooks are coming in, and these rooks are hungry. These rooks are like Pac-Man coming in here, munching away at these pawns. Rook coming in, bring this rook over here, and you're just going to crush. Like, rook d5 is destroying here. You can play all sorts of things. You also want to make sure your king doesn't ever get back ranked, but we'll see if something like that happens. Pawn f4. Okay, Vic trying to provide complications. Rook coming in to defend both the pawns. Okay, you could easily win one of these pawns, like something like this, putting too much pressure on one of these pawns. We have pawn trying to trade, but pawn f3, and now Jack is locking one of his rooks away, sort of. The rook can come out. It'll take a couple moves for it to escape, but this rook is kind of passive here. We have a pawn here, and we have to be careful. We have to always be very careful as Jack Penguin here, because at any point, if there's not something eyeing this pawn, threatening to capture it, we have rook e5, and if you give Vic 2 free moves, this is just checkmate. Rook e5, rook e1 is just checkmate if Jack is not careful. So we have pushing another pawn. Okay, Vic trying to push the pawns, rook trying to threaten to take it, king goes up. Okay, now this pawn is defended. Now this pawn is defended by not only the rook, but also another pawn, and you have to be super careful here. It also attacks this rook. Okay, check. King up, rook over. Now this is Vic's opportunity. This is Vic's basically only opportunity to play either rook e5 or rook d5, threatening this. It doesn't really work because you can always move this pawn to give some space to your king. You could always play rook e3 or rook d3 or whatever, but this is Vic's opportunity, and Vic doesn't see this idea, just moves his king out of the way, and now this pawn is lost, and now you can never leave the eyes of this pawn or it's going to get captured. So takes, pushing, and in this position, the game is +20 for Jack Penguin. It is +20 for White, because not only does White have 2 rooks, but even if all 3 of the rooks just disappeared from the board, it is 5-2 pawns. And it is just crushing for White. It's actually, the engine's reevaluating, is +52, but Jack has 49 seconds on the clock. And Jack Penguin needs to win this game. So we start seeing some shuffling. We take the pawn, we're shuffling with the rooks. You've won one of the black pawns, okay? And at any point here, you can actually force a rook trade too. Rook to b5 forces a rook trade. Okay, you take my rook, I take your rook. Same here. Rook b5. You could take my rook, I take your rook. Doesn't want to do it. Okay, Jack is not sure how to force a rook trade here. You could have also forced a rook trade here. Rook f4, trading the rooks, okay? That's what you need to do in these endgames when you're up a rook. Trade one of the rooks to avoid any sort of complications. The pawn's pushing up, threatening to check in here, trying to get some sort of maybe ladder type mate situation. King to the side. Jack Penguin here has 17 seconds to convert this position to a checkmate, and now he does get one of the rooks off the board. Jack gets a rook off the board, and he has 16 seconds to checkmate. 14 seconds. Rook slides over, cutting off the black king. Great idea. Trying to maybe promote this pawn and getting the king stuck on the side of the board, trying to push the pawn up. 7 seconds left for Jack Penguin. Vic is playing king g5. Vic is shuffling his king around. Vic's only piece left to move is the king. There could still be a stalemate. Jack can still lose on time. Anything can happen in this game. We have king slides over. He makes a queen. Jack Penguin makes a queen. He has 6 seconds to checkmate. Vic talks in this position. King to d5. Discovered check. And in this position, we have 4 seconds on the clock for Jack. Jack uses 2 seconds to play king, queen, c7. And in this position, Jack Penguin loses to time in game 2. He's completely dominating, but Jack loses to time. The match is 1-1. Bro! So we go to game 3. Spoiler, Jack Penguin is able to win a very clean game 3, and it winds up being 2-1 Jack. Game 4 was a tough one to watch, to be honest. Jack only needs one more to win, and what you'll notice here in this game is Jack is developing his minor pieces, his bishop and his knight, and Vic brings his queen out kind of early, but Vic is just moving pawns. Out of the first 7 moves of the game, 6 of them are pawn moves. And this is not what you want in chess. You don't want to be moving your pawns. You want to get your pieces into the game, right? You want to get these pieces activated into the game, and Vic just doesn't have that. And it's plus 1.4 for white simply because white just has more activity. Pawn pushes up, and Jack is safely castled, but Vic's king is just sitting here like a duck in the center of the board. And again, it's been 9 moves. It's been 9 moves. Look, every single pawn is off of its starting square except for the A pawn. And that's because the queen is taking up the A file. None of these pieces have moved for Vic. What is Vic doing here? Vic is just, I don't know, is Vic BMing? Is Vic just trolling? But knight comes out, but it's too late to bring the knight out now because the bishop is staring down the diagonal. This queen has infiltrated. The knight is threatening pawns that are hanging. There's so much going on here. Second bishop coming in, so much pressure surmounting on these pieces, on these diagonals. And we have knight jumping out of the way, threatening the queen, but the queen comes into the center and it's just over. I mean, queen takes the hanging knight over here and king f8. And it's mate in 1. Jack Penguin taking this 3-1 game. Very nicely done by Jack Penguin. Wrapping up day 2. Kixy won 3.5 to a half. Jack Penguin won 3-1 in day 2. I think I'm going to have to chop this video into 2 parts. Like, I'm going to keep recording the rest of this now, but this video is going to be too long. We've gone through 7 games so far, and I still have 6 more to show you. If you enjoyed the games here, consider subscribing. This video for part 2 of this will come out immediately after part 1. Come watch the rest of this tournament on twitch.tv. It's going to be live all the next 2 weeks on my channel. Link in bio. Subscribe on YouTube if you want to check out more chess videos. There's a lot of good stuff on our channel. Appreciate you guys being here. Have a good rest of your day, and as Gotham would say, get out of here.